have to describe it to her. I feel like I should have done a cartwheel as I came across. But good afternoon, downtown Orlando. So when I was walking out, other than being overwhelmed by that great introduction and Pastor Mills' sermon that he gave on OUC, I was reflecting on the fact that this building is 15 years old and the first event we held in this building. Does anybody know what the first event we held in this building was? That must have been a city employee. State of Downtown 15 years ago. We cut the ribbon outside on October 1st and then cut the ribbon on this building. And since I'm the mayor, I get to stray from my prepared remarks. So I'm going to talk about the building and what it's meant to us. Over the course of 15 years, Alan Johnson and his whole staff, his whole team do an incredible job. And we have had over 3,000 events in the Amway/Kia Center since it opened. So that's, Alan, 250 or so a year. And 2 million visitors, patrons last year. I'll take some applause for that. That's pretty good. Dr. Mills talked about how sustainable and what we've done in the green areas. But I just want to talk about, so last night, was anybody at the Magic game here last night? So the building looked quite a bit different about 12 hours ago, and they have another Magic game tomorrow night. So the ends that the staff goes through to transform this building. Oh, and by the way, the reason it's so doggone cold in here is there is ice under the floor. So they have to change out a hard court, ice, and all types of things to transform this building, and they do a tremendous job. So let's give Alan and his entire team a great hand. So back to the scripted part. The day that we had the first State of the City, State of the Downtown here, this building and that opening day represented the reality of what can happen when you do have a bold vision coupled with strategic investments, and then you leverage partnerships. And the results are catalytic projects, as you've seen with the three venues, Camping World Stadium, Dr. Phillips Center, and this Kia Center. And as we stand here 15 years later, downtowns, not just here in Orlando, but across the country and across the world, are experiencing an era of reinvention. Since the pandemic escalated a lot of long-term trends like remote work, I know in all of your businesses, you probably don't have the same staff that comes into your office every day that you had 5 years ago, but also the desire for mixed-use development has forced cities to rethink the roles of their downtowns. Here is the good news. Here in Orlando, we've been planning for just that, and that's precisely what is happening around us right now. Prior to the pandemic, through partnerships and strategic planning of the venues and Creative Village and Project DTO, we've been building a vision together for a downtown that offers something for everyone. Last year at this event, we talked about the DTO action plan, and two of the big ideas from that plan are downtown as a park and downtown Orlando is for everyone. And in pursuing those big ideas, we are focusing on four essential elements. First, there's arts and culture, which is absolutely critical to any downtown. Second, food. Third, business, education, and job creation. And fourth, places like this where people come together. So rather than just talk about these elements and why they're important in the abstract, we're going to do something a little bit different than we've done at any of the State of the Downtowns in the past. So you noticed that there are 6 chairs out here. Why do you think that is? We're going to have people fill those chairs to talk about those elements, who are living those elements every day in our downtown. And we want to have a conversation about why those elements are so important as we move forward. And we want to talk about those elements and how they must connect with, complement, and energize one another. So we want to bring together a very dynamic group that I think you'll be very pleased with, to have a frank conversation about our opportunities, but also our challenges. So we brought some familiar faces and we brought some newer friends to fuel the discussion. So first, we all know Craig Usler, whose vision has helped shape the last quarter century in DTO from Thornton Park to create a village. And any of you that want to do the cartwheel on the way out, that is fine as well. Okay, Orlando has truly become a foodie town, right? So if you've had a great meal downtown, chances are you spent time in one of Jason Chen's restaurants. I've already mentioned that a great downtown must have a great arts and cultural scene, and Jennifer Evans is with us today to talk about tapping into the arts to drive a downtown transformation. And we also have a special guest who most of us don't know yet. Richard Perez with Midtown Development is responsible for developing some of the most iconic, innovative places where people come together in cities around the world. David kind of led into that with Tokyo and New York and the things he was talking about in the intro. And they are redeveloping the property on North Orange Avenue that used to be the home of the Orlando Sentinel. And to help tie this all together, we're fortunate to have Sheena Fowler with Innovate Orlando to serve as our moderator and the face of the changing nature of the business in our downtown. All right, Sheena, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Okay, friends, here we are. David, you were not wrong. It is bright. It is bright. I like it. Okay, so placemaking is the cornerstone of economic development, right? It is what sparks economies. It's what brings everything together when we bring the layers of entertainment, of tastes, of feel, of sounds, of business, and economic development. We start to drive new jobs. We have people that want to experiment in our cities. We have people that want to build new buildings in our cities. And today we're going to do this. We're going to talk about all the different layers that it makes to have extraordinary placemaking. And we're going to talk about the realities, we're going to talk about the momentum, and what we're expecting next. Here on this stage, as Mayor Dyer so graciously introduced everyone, we're seeing different places, different people, and different perspectives of how you placemake a downtown, how you make an extraordinary economy that sparks new ideas, that changes the world. So let's get into it. Craig, let's start with you. You've been doing this for over 25 years in downtown Orlando. You've had investments like Thornton Park, North Quarter, and Creative Village. These were not quick flips. Talk about the parallels between what you saw 25 years ago and where we are today in order to bring downtown to life.
Well, I have a fundamental belief in the power of downtown. Mayor Dyer ran on this when he ran for mayor, and I think we intuitively at that time understood that if you don't have a strong downtown, you don't have a strong region. There's really not a great city in the world that isn't defined by the quality of its downtown. So to me, that's always been obvious, and maybe not obvious to a town that's maybe as new as Orlando or a suburban base. But I sort of took that as my benchmark, and then I see a lot of similarities. The market goes through cycles. Opportunity presents itself in different ways. Rick and I would tell you the real estate market, you're still ultimately, you're beholden to how that goes. So there's a lot of similarities to the early 2000s, and we entered into a really nice period of development there, and then we sort of had the Great Recession, another nice boom, then we had COVID and sort of the correction we're in now. So I just see us emerging kind of from the thaw that we've been in. But I would say we've just made a ton of progress. The building blocks that Mayor Dyer described are there. Now it's really just more about layering. You keep using that word, but that's the right word. It's just layering on the elements that make a place really great, which is sometimes the buildings, but more often the other things. It's arts and food and everything that sort of goes with the buildings. So I look at it now as probably a bit more of a complex puzzle, but I'm as bullish as I've ever been. I believe in downtown Orlando's got a ton of upside. I mean, we're really just scratching the surface on what we could become. And so, the great news is the repositioning of downtown that Mayor Dyer talked about for downtowns. It's actually pretty easy. I mean, it's live, learn, work, play. office tenants, retail folks, restaurant folks, residences, workers, students, they all want the same thing. I mean, they want interesting, walkable, mixed-use places that are really a great place to hang out. You know, you hear the term central activity district now instead of central business district. So I believe that we're on the right track, and we're excited.
You know, as somebody who worked side by side with you over the last many years, recruiting companies to come here, we often work together on that. One of the number one things that I got that I was surprised by was, what's the food?
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Executives always want to know about the food. Jason, I turn to you. Last year, you and your wife, Sue, became the city's first James Beard finalist for Outstanding Restaurateur. That's a big deal. That is a nationwide honor, and you are the first in our community to do it. You have opened 3 restaurants in downtown, Reyes, the Monroe, Sparrow, with a 4th on the way, Osteria Esther. Did I get it?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. And it's opening to family and friends this week. So you too have seen these evolutions and ups and downs of downtown Orlando. What makes you believe to continue to open so many restaurants here?
Well, first of all, thank you for recognizing the importance that food has in attracting people and talent. I guess it's when we kind of started to grow and expand at a decent pace, and people kind of caught on to what we were about in creating new, unique, and distinct restaurants, doing something different with every opening. That came the exciting questions of what's next. What are you doing next? And I would often answer that question with a question of, well, what do you think should be next? What should we do? What do you think Orlando needs? And through that, it was pretty evident by how varied and how broad those responses were that really the short answer is we just need more.
Yeah.
We need, and not just in sheer number per capita, but we needed more, and we need more variety. We need more diversity. And we need, really what I was hearing was we need iconic restaurants that kind of defined the area, that if, say, someone lived here for a time and then moved somewhere else, that it would be that restaurant that would remind them of home. So that really encouraged Sue and I to keep going with it, and it really helped to kind of further crystallize the mission of we have at Good Salt Restaurant Group, is to create district and neighborhood defining restaurants to stand for generations and to kind of really be that kind of center of placemaking.
Well, it's amazing because you not only deliver extraordinary food, but you deliver amazing spaces, right? So they're iconic in the way that you feel the atmosphere, right? And so I turn to you, Jennifer. Atmosphere and culture is such an extraordinary part of placemaking, and you, as the leader of United Arts, have had such an impressive run with downtown DTO in creating these programs where we now have consistent music, right? Where you layered on top of the buildings that were being constructed and the new restaurants that were coming in, you added this other layer. Tell us about what that means to a community and how it changes things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And it when you look at the master plan, for years it's talked about excellence every day. And it's wonderful that we have these moments that we pause and celebrate as a community. But if you're arriving to Orlando on a Tuesday looking for a building or an office space, and there's not a festival going on, it's a surprise, right? When you hear music happening. So along with the city, Creative City Project, the Downtown Arts District, and United Arts started this program about a year and a half ago to really activate and create a sense of excellence every day in our downtown. And these are free music performances, and we pay artists, and that's part of this whole dynamic, is that we need people to be able to thrive here and make a living. And so this program is not only about activating our public spaces in downtown and keeping a vibrancy at lunchtime and in the social hours on Thursdays and on weekends. It's really about making sure that artists can make a living here too. So it creates a sense of security and safety downtown, so that people feel comfortable, but also a sense of belonging. They hear their culture, they hear their drum beat, they hear all these different diverse music playing. And so it's really exciting to watch not only the artists respond to the experience of being heard and celebrated, but also for people to feel a sense of belonging and safety.
love that you added in the element of the artists are getting paid, right? That this is a sustainable element for our community, right? And having served as film commissioner in Orlando, I was privy to meet so many of our extraordinary artists that are here, and that's the number one thing I try to remind people. We have such a high population of creatives in our community. It's fantastic to now have this soundtrack as we do walking meetings downtown, and you think about why you go into the office. You want experiences that you're not going to get at home. And I thank you so much for putting that together. Rick, as someone who has developed around the world, you look at infrastructure, you look at economies, you make big decisions on where you're going to invest. Tell us about what you saw about downtown Orlando, what you've heard today about what Craig and Jason and Jennifer have built, and why you made the decision to invest in downtown Orlando.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. We're overjoyed. This has been a bit of a process. It started with David Barilla insisting that we take a look at downtown Orlando again and really move forward with the development of the Sentinel site. And as everybody got a taste of, you all know him, but that intro is the reason we were so motivated to be here. But there are 5 reasons why we've made the decision that we're going to move forward with the redevelopment of the Sentinel site. The first is visionary, professional, stable government in the city of Orlando. You often get, or sometimes you get visionary government, sometimes you get stable government, but to have both visionary and stability, vision and stability, is something that is a rarity around the United States and around the world, frankly. And have that combination here is such an important factor. The second is having that staff and that government and a DTO plan that perfectly aligns, and you have a very clear picture of where you have and a vision of downtown that is clearly articulated. It is a program that everybody can understand and everybody's getting behind. That is a motivating factor. The third is, and this is an essential ingredient, is a community that in our visits here is incredibly engaged. A community that has, and you can see it through the DTO plan, you can see it through the government, a real sense of a shared vision of a very bright future, right? The fourth is an economic and a demographic growth that should be the envy of the world. It is the envy of the world. It's an unbelievably dynamic, both in terms of the demographic growth and the economic growth. And fifth is a 20-acre or so piece of land in the middle of your downtown that is right for redevelopment and doesn't have any of the negatives of redevelopment, which is no need to move out businesses or people, and that we can use it as a blueprint to carry on that vision, that stability, and that plan. And so when David laid that all out for us, and we had the pleasure of meeting the mayor and the commissioners, the choice of relooking and re-engaging in the development of this site became frankly a no-brainer.
That's amazing. And I think that's something we've heard from everyone here is that all the ingredients are here, right? Everything was here that it became such an obvious decision to continue to move forward. And as we look at the momentum that we've talked about, let's take a turn and let's have an honest moment, right? That we can have a reality check where there are some things in downtown that still need to be worked on. We have the perception of safety. We have some renovations that are going to be happening. We'll have some disruption with transportation. But this is the moment where downtowns either fracture or strengthen. And I think we can have a conversation about how we start to lean into that and how we do it together. So Mayor Dyer, your plans over the last 20 years have been ambitious, from significant infrastructure projects like new housing, Sunrail, Kia Center, Creative Village, and Dr. Phillips Center. But you have equally ambitious plans to transform downtown Orlando. These improvements required some temporary pain for some long-term gain. So let us understand, what do you see about why this is the right time to be doing this and how we move forward?
Gina, I thought I was supposed to get a question in the first segment, not that. Okay, let's switch to the reality check. But, actually, those are the questions I get to field. You know, during the State of the City address, we noted that the city was 150 years old. And we talked about different eras where the leadership of the city had to make difficult decisions about moving forward and investing in the community so you could reach to the future. And we have had stability here, not just for 20 years, but we've only had 5 mayors in the last 70 years. So we've had some great leadership before I ever got here. And I think of Mayor Frederick, and for those of you who are old enough to be here when he was mayor, he had a really big decision to make, and he decided that they needed to replumb the entire downtown area. They had infrastructure that had been there probably for 100 years or more, so they totally tore up Orange Avenue and associated streets and redid all the sanitary sewer, the water, the other utilities. And I know there had to have been some pain for all of the businesses in the downtown during that era, but it was needed so that you could reach for the future. And now we have the DTO action plan, which is we're gonna two-way some streets, we're gonna improve sidewalks, we're gonna increase the green space, we're gonna make mobility easier, we're gonna really take a look at our transit that has been around in basically the same way since the 70s and improve that for the future. So you ask, is the timing right? The timing is absolutely right, and it's always the right time to invest in the future, and our future is now.
It's amazing to see the fact that you've been able to do both, right? We've been able to build and make sure we're adding in all of the layers of character so that we have that balance. And I think that's something that Jennifer and Jason, you've seen over the years, and not just in Orlando, but in other communities too, that as you go through these changes, as you go through these adaptations, you have to have the elements of culture and restaurants to be able to continue to carry through. So what are some of the elements of how you see that really carries communities through these moments of transition?
So the arts are early wins. They are. Whether it's adding public art or live music, it's a way to soften the experience, especially when the hardscape is changing or slowing people down. And so thankfully, our city and our private sector is investing in the arts, and it makes an impact. Whether you're having to walk further because of a construction on a sidewalk or traveling on a road, and you get to see a mural, or you're hearing music from down the way and it pulls you that direction in a positive way. It can also, from a health perspective, the arts are proven to improve, reduce stress. So that also can help a lot. So make sure to roll your windows down and listen to the music, either in your car or the live music. But that helps a lot. The arts really can reduce the stress in a downtown area, as well as keep you positive and be short wins.
Jason?
Yeah, well, if you think about any downtown in its most elemental sense in terms of purpose, it's a place meant for exchange on many levels. Exchange of ideas, economic exchange, exchange of social exchange and cultural exchange. And amidst all those, I'd say that the most fundamentally human, the most significant is the exchange of cultures through food and the arts. And the more that we allow that to happen, there's more common ground that's found. There's more understanding that we have of one another. And where there's more and more understanding, there is less room for fear. And it helps to kind of build bridges and to open doors to usher out any type of stagnation and usher in excitement and synergy and the sharing of dreams and the initiation of action to pursue those dreams. So with that, really, I feel very fortunate and honored to be up here to represent the hospitality community and all the hard work that not just us, but like everybody in the industry is doing. Because if you've ever been in it, you know you're not really in it to make riches. You're really in it for the love of the community. So in that context, really, I've kind of made it my own personal mission and the mission of our team members in our downtown locations to really do their part in helping to kind of have a bigger stake, so to speak, in the narrative. You know, we speak about the perception issue, and you know, I think a lot of times that's because people tend to adopt a truth that they might have extracted from a sensationalized news column, or even worse, doing a bit too deep of a dive in the comments section of an unfounded social media post, right? We've all done it. So really, you know, there's something that's really unique about Orlando and our hospitality scene. We've had friends come up and visit us from other cities like DC and Chicago, and even as close as Tampa, that all have the kind of a similar remark that, like, wow, Orlando, you guys, your restaurant scene is very tight. You guys feel very like there's a sense of camaraderie that they wish they had back home, where they have more of a cutthroat, kind of standoffish type of environment. And I think that, you know, when dwelling when considering that and why that is, it kind of dawned on me that that must be because a lot of us have a similar interest in that we're doing it to put Orlando on the map. And that phrase right there, it's heard a lot when, if you go to any event where there's a few of us around, you'll probably hear, put Orlando on the map, put Orlando on the map. And I think that translates into kind of this dynamic we have as the restaurant community, where, you know, we might be considered competition to one another, but we never consider each other rivals, because we're on the same team. So that, to me, it's very encouraging. It feels like we're all positioned to push forward in a big way, to do it for the home team, to do it for Orlando. And so really, you know, going back to trying to control the narrative, we're really hoping that as downtowners, we're able to kind of reach the ears and the hearts of you know, of the purpose-driven, you know, movers in the industry, to really think of this period of transition like not as an existential threat, but as the incredible opportunity that it actually is.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible opportunity to come and taste some of the extraordinary dishes that you put in front of us. So thank you for continuing to do it, because it definitely draws us out, right? It is the reason that we leave our homes, is to gather and to make sure that we have those spaces. So thank you. And I think a lot of us echo those feelings that you just shared, is that, especially when I first moved to Orlando, there was this element of collaboration, this element of, yeah, we're going to compete and we're going to do what we need to do, but at the end of the day, we were rolling up our sleeves to put Orlando on the map, to follow the vision that Mayor Dyer and his team have laid out, that this isn't a community that is figuring out who we want to be, that we're young, and that's such a glorious opportunity to be able to build a community and be part of building a culture. That's what we've been doing here. And I think Craig and Rick, you both have been through these types of disruptions. You've seen that you come out on the other side, and when you look back, it's a bit of a blip, right? But in the moment, what are some of a story that you could share where you saw these things pay off, that the little bit of pain was worth the long-term value? Rick, you want to start?
Well, I think it really is about creating what motivates us every single day in our group, Midtown Development. Our DNA is landowners and land investors that happen to develop, right? And so our goal always is to create neighborhoods and communities, and that the last piece of property in our assemblage is the most valuable piece of property, not because time has passed or a cycle has happened, but because it's a community or a neighborhood people want to live in, right? And that's our goal. And one of the reasons why we've sort of not moved forward until now with regards to the site was we just didn't want to create another sort of cookie cutter kind of mixed use development. We wanted to create something special. And so when David and the city team came to us, one of the things that we said was, we need to get the best person in the world in developing these types of communities interested in this. And if we can do that, we'll move forward. That's what excites us. And we reached out to Heatherwick Studios in London, and we said, will you partner with us on this redevelopment? And we spent a lot of time with them, and we are overjoyed that Heatherwick Studios agreed to the engagement and agreed to move it forward. And for those of you who don't know Heatherwick Studios, and those are the same people that developed Little Island in New York. They are amazing thinkers in creating authentic spaces that people want to live in, and so putting all that together with the city government, the stability of the vision, and then encouraging and getting Heatherwick Studios to join us in this mission. And we have a long-term vision, right? This isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to be 20 years of development on this site because we're going to do it right, and we're going to do it, and we're going to create the type of community that Orlando deserves. That's what sustains you over blips, right? It is, again, that stability with vision and a long-term perspective on doing something great. And if you put those things together, success is never assured, but certainly moves you forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
Craig?
I don't look at disruption or construction obviously as a bad thing. Any developer would say that, but I really do mean it in a true sense. When we were first building Creative Village, nothing attracted more development like bringing other potential tenants or capital partners or whatever, the way that Mayor Dyer and I did a talk in the mid 2016, 17. We jokingly said we led the country in cranes per capita because there was so much under construction downtown.
Right.
That actually, so the inconvenience of the physical construction to me is more than offset by the momentum that it's building. You can just sort of see it with your eyes. Something like the Sentinel site being under construction, or Westcourt, or Creative Village Phase 2, or whatever it is, that creates a visual sort of identity that you want. So to me, the good outweighs the bad, and it's also an example of where social media has really, really helped. If you think about in any great city now, some of the most awesome restaurants you go to or art experiences are behind some door that you never even know where they were, except if you hadn't seen it on TikTok or found it on social media or whatever. And so I just think it's the tools that the restaurant and the arts and whatnot have to do. And Rick and I can figure out how to build things, in a way where it can still work out. But it'll just be that it's the act of doing something and getting underway with something that I think is going to be, it's going to create a momentum that's going to be valuable. So, is it disruptive? Yeah, but that's what progress is. I greatly prefer that to the alternative.
I agree. Well, speaking of momentum, here's the amazing thing. We know that these things are happening, but we have alignment, right? This is our Orlando. This is what we do. We bring things together. We have an optimism and alignment that brings everything together at the right moment. And every one of you have shown how you're not slowing down. You're finding these opportunities to bring more to our community, to find opportunities to layer it together. And with this, I know we can dig in a little bit more about Rick's announcement. And Mayor Dyer, as your state of downtown, I would like it handed over to you to talk a little bit more about Rick's big news.
Well, thank you, Sheena. So I started out my comments talking about the catalytic effect that the venues had. The venues, along with seeking the UCF Medical School, I think were really the start of where we learned partnership and collaboration and how to get things done, because in both of those endeavors, it took so many different people to form partnerships and collaboration from different aspects of our community. That led to Creative Village as another catalytic effect. To have the opportunity to redevelop 69 acres in your heart of downtown, and we did have the benefit of it was all publicly owned, so we got to plan it. Imagine if that would have been 10 different pieces of property we'd tried to assemble, we wouldn't have what we had today. But those are two cornerstone pieces of our community, and I couldn't be more excited about what's going to happen on the Sentinel site. I truly believe that's going to be catalytic for our community as well. And again, there aren't many cities, Rick, where you can find 20 acres. Do you own 20 acres anywhere else in the heart of a downtown? Probably not. But to have that opportunity and to not just say, okay, let's put something up, but to really think about it and to bring in the very best architects in the world. You're going to be impressed. Let's learn about it. Let's roll the tape.
Hello, my name is Thomas Heatherwick, and with my studio team, we've been doing projects all over the world over the last 30 years. Our passion has been to make pieces of cities, to make places where people come together. And we've had the chance to build a new museum in Cape Town using a grain silo, to make a new island in New York that's a public park that brings people together, to make the headquarters for Google in California, to make new districts in Tokyo, which are all about nature and places for people to explore, and in Xi'an, making big new areas where it's all about making a hyper-physical place that can be engaging and connect people with each other and their emotions within places. So we're very excited to be having the chance to work in downtown Orlando. This downtown area is surrounded by the very successful neighbors of these world-famous parks. And there are suburban main streets that are great for those areas. So there's really strong identities all around. And then there in the middle, that downtown is just ripe. It's ready to grow, to make a destination with its own unique identity, to make somewhere that will have the best of city living. So there are evening spots which bring people together, family spaces, dining places. It's about nature, somewhere that brings people together in this hyper-physical way in this time of the digital. The Orlando Sentinel site is an opportunity to create an amazing new district with a gathering space at its heart, with thousands of new homes and dozens of new businesses, to bring an urban density that unlocks new places to work, new places to play, and to relax and exercise. We're so used to places feeling like they're a version of somewhere else, rather than being their own unique place. So the opportunity now that's so exciting is to be part of the wider revitalization of downtown. We're so excited to be working with the city on the future of downtown Orlando and this amazing opportunity that exists for that center to thrive in the next phase of Orlando's future.
Something we strategically did not allow anyone on the panel to see the video until this moment. So it is exciting for all of us to get to tune in and see it live with you today. Rick, wow, that is impressive. Tell us a little bit more about, your philosophy around what you've already started to discover, and Mayor, feel free to jump in here on what you're doing here.
Why not Orlando, right? You have demographic shifts and economic shifts happening all over Florida, all over the United States. You have billions of dollars getting invested into downtown Tampa, right, with the Water Street project. You have Related Ross putting billions of dollars into downtown West Palm Beach. You have billions of dollars being invested into downtown Miami. Why? It's because the younger generation and the older generation have come to the same conclusion. We want to live in communities that are connected. And downtowns offer great transit, great parks, great community and cultural centers. All of those bones are there already in downtown Orlando. Why not downtown Orlando? We think this is the right moment, the right time, the right team, and we are just absolutely bullish about this project, about the future of Orlando, and the future of all of the new friends that we've made over the course of the last year in terms of dialogue with the city. We are overjoyed that Thomas Heatherwick and his team have see the vision, understand the vision, and are helping us move that forward. And we're at the initial stages. There are still, the design is certainly not complete, and we are, working with Mayor Dyer, his team, the City Commission, to bring this vision to a reality.
Fantastic. Mayor Dyer, how's it been to work on this project so far?
It's awesome to have an opportunity. A lot of the times when you're working with developers, they come in with a fully baked plan, and the city really is just reviewing it to make sure you meet building codes and land use requirements and things of that nature, rather than feeling like you're a partner at the table and knowing just how important and strategic this parcel is. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't recognize you've got 20 acres. It's at Colonial and Orange Avenue. You're going to be the bookend to the Dr. Phillips Center. So everything else in between those two areas is going to benefit. It's going to be like, I think, jet fuel in terms of the economy and everything else around it. I think there's probably people out today trying to buy up the land that's on either side, east or west of there. But I'm really excited about this investment. I'm excited about Westcourt as well, which will be just north of here. So you add in those two sites, and we're only halfway done with Creative Village.
Right.
So it's not like that one's complete. There's just the upside of downtown Orlando. There's no imagination to stretching that.
Well, it's amazing, like you said, to have the opportunity to partner. That really is something special, but it's so uniquely Orlando, right? Of course, that would be something that we get to do together. Jennifer, I'd love for you to layer in your reaction to have this type of space. As you heard, there's lots of green space and space for people to come together. What's your reaction to this?
Well, it's extraordinary. First of all, we talked about excellence in placemaking, and I live downtown. I walk downtown every day. I walk around Lake Eola. I walk home from the Magic Game and Internco. This city has so much positive energy. And the great thing is I've only been here for 4.5 years, but when the building codes, the codes to make sure that we have a standard of excellence are critical to this success. And I've never built anything, so people who are building things maybe disagree. But when you drive into this city, there's a code that says we have to have an architectural element at the top of every building. And to me, that is excellence, because wherever you are standing or coming in from our city, there is a creative design process that puts excellence first. And whether it's music on the streets or the built environment, it's about excellence. And what you've done, Craig, and what you've done, Jason, and the mayor, that you bring excellence. And that's what we've got to stay focused on when it comes to placemaking.
So, Jason, I know you are very close to opening your next restaurant, but does having this type of development in your community continue to fuel the fact that you keep these restaurants open and fuel the inspiration for new ones on the horizon?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, really, if by the looks of it, it's going to be quite an attraction for people just to spend time, and where there's movement in that regard, it's only upside from there. So yeah, from what I can see, it looks to be a game changer. Really excited.
Fantastic. And Craig, having another development, as Mayor mentioned, Westcourt and this, how does this get you excited about everything that we're continuing to build with Creative Village?
I mean, it's really the evolution that you're looking for. One of the things that Mayor Dyer's talked about before is if you go to a lot of the great cities of the world, I think he made this comment when he was coming home from Boston one time. I mean, they're done for all intents and purposes. Rick and I can't go there and make as much of a difference, right, when it's 90 whatever percent built out. Orlando is still on this great sort of growth cycle, and the secret sauce is to get local, independent developers like me, restaurateurs like Jason. That's typically the spark. I mean, somebody like Rick's not going to go first. He's going to wait and see the truly entrepreneurial people. Kind of this happened in South Beach and everywhere else, and then you attract him and the architect, right? And you end up sort of with the best of both worlds, right? You end up with sort of best-in-class development that could go anywhere and chooses Orlando, and you pair that up with the people that are tried and true hometown folks that have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years, that mutually respect each other, that are all pulling the boat in the same direction. I mean, that's kind of the magic that you've seen happen. And some of the, if you look at sort of the cities that we tend to emulate, a Nashville, a Denver, Austin, Texas, or whatever. That's really what's happened. It's sort of the best of both worlds come together, and you don't lose your soul. You don't lose the personality that attracted Rick in the first place, but you layer onto it, especially at the quality he's talking about doing. Jennifer could not be more right. It's about quality, not quantity, in your downtown these days, right? I mean, and the fact that it takes sometimes a little bit longer. Mayor Dyer's been great about this at Creative Village. It takes a little bit longer to get exactly what you want and get the quality that you want, but it's worth waiting for.
And it's exciting as we talk to businesses about where they want to locate, and having done that for so many years, they want to see that there's buildings. They want to see that there's more activity, that things are coming in. And Mayor, we've done a lot of talking today about what's coming. You have been taking a lot of bets on downtown. I want to hear from you of what you think we're going to be seeing in 27 and 28 based on all of the extraordinary bets that you've already made so far.
So I think that's what excites me the most, quite honestly. I'll segue off of Craig a little bit. I always tell my fellow friend mayors at U.S. Conference of Mayors that I'm the happiest mayor in America. And they're like, oh, how can you be the happiest mayor in America? And I wasn't during COVID, I can tell you that. But every other day that I've woken up, I've been the happiest mayor in America, because I live in a city where we're making our destiny, creating our future right now. And I was just thinking while Craig was saying that, maybe we were preteens when I came into office, and now I feel like we're 10th graders or something like that in terms of the community. But we're a community where you can come into this community having never lived here and have an immediate impact and be part of our community, because we're a welcoming community. And we haven't made our future yet. We're preparing, we like to say we're a future-ready city, that we're adaptable. But every person in this audience today has the opportunity to help us shape this city, this downtown, and what it's going to be in the next, how many ever years you just asked me about, 3 years, 10 years, or 20 years. And I couldn't be more excited. If I'm only going to be mayor 2 more years, but I wouldn't want to be mayor anywhere else in America other than right here for the next decade, because it is going to be an exciting time. And I think all over America, they're going to be talking about Orlando, and not just for tourism. They're going to be talking about Orlando for what's happening in the downtown.
I couldn't agree more. Well, here's what I've been hearing from our friends on the stage today, that we had 4 elements, but they only work when they work together, right? When we layer the investment, we layer in the culture and the restaurants, and the businesses then attract to that. It's extraordinary to see when we have extraordinary leadership, the community wants to follow, and the community wants to build and add their piece with their expertise alongside of it. So now the question becomes, what do all of you do? How do you add your excellence into this momentum? I think that's been a wonderful word that we heard over and over again today, is excellence. We have excellence in food and culture and buildings and investments and strategy. And that strategy has led all of us to be here today. So how do you add it? How do you build more buildings? How do you create more jobs? How do you become future members of the Downtown Orlando Partnership, to where we can bind together to make sure that we're delivering everything that we need for our community in downtown? Because we know that downtowns are not built with one plan, with one project, but it's a connected community. And that's what we heard today. We heard Mayor Dyer talk about the fact that it was working side by side with developers and how unique that was for our community. We heard Jennifer talk about listening to artists. What did they need? Listening to the developers understand what the communities want. And Jason talked about his guests coming into the door and saying, I'm going to develop and continue to grow and create more based on their feedback. That is a beautiful community that we've seen. And we've seen different personalities come in and talk about our community from different angles. That is when a downtown becomes a place, not that you just go and leave, but it becomes a place that you call home, a place that is yours, that you want to continue to invest in and grow in. I'd like to thank our panel today for joining us. I'd like to thank Mayor Dyer and his team for giving us the opportunity to have this candid conversation about our extraordinary downtown Orlando and everything that we're doing. Thank you for everything, all of your investments, all of your strategy. And I would like to welcome Jill back up to the stage.
Well, first of all, I love downtowns and I love our downtown. So thank you. Thank you so much. And a special thanks on behalf of the Downtown Orlando Partnership, our board of directors and our trustees. Thank you to Mayor Dyer. Thank you for your vision. Thank you to the City of Orlando. Thank you to the Downtown Development Board and David. And also, I just really want to just once again express how much we appreciate your leadership and your collaboration. A huge thank you also again to our presenting sponsor, OUC, the Reliable One. Thank you to Commissioner Mills for giving your remarks today. I'd also like to thank our event sponsors, Advent Health, AT&T, Dean Mead, the Greater Orlando Sports Commission, Greenbird Triag, Orlando Credit Union, Orlando Health, Orlando Magic, and UCF Downtown and Valencia College, and all of our corporate seating sponsors. You definitely help make this event possible, and I appreciate you. I also would love to extend gratitude today to our panelists. Thank you for sharing your insight, your vision, and your commitment to moving downtown Orlando forward. And 3 of these panelists are also DOP board members, so thank you for that too as well. And as we celebrate today, we also encourage everyone to support our local nonprofit organizations today. Today is Giving Tuesday, and they play an essential role in strengthening our downtown community. So we would love for you to support our downtown nonprofits. Now, let's celebrate together. Join us for a cocktail reception in the Gallagher Lounge featuring local favorites, Black Rooster Taqueria and Kelly's Homemade Ice Cream. And you should have all received a cocktail ticket on the way in, so we'll buy you each a drink. Please take a moment to visit our sponsors along the way. And also, don't miss Discover Downtown. And check out their table because there is a beautiful new cookbook by Visit Orlando, which is a great taste of the city beautiful. And on the cover is Good Salt West Restaurant Group's, one of their executive chefs, Wendy, is on the cover of this beautiful cookbook. So check it out. If they do happen to sell out, they will have more at Discover Downtown. So definitely support that. But thank you again for believing in downtown Orlando. The best is yet to come. Thank you so much. Thank you.